Welcome to another video. In this video I will be doing a CAPE Unit 1 question. So let's get straight into it. This question falls under the remainder and factor theorem. So okay, let's get into it. So it says f of x is equal to x cubed minus 9x squared plus px plus 16. Good. And it says, now the first question says, given that x plus 1 is a factor of f of x, show that p equals 6. So we are supposed to prove that p equals 6 given x plus 1 is a factor. Now this is the 2013 past paper, part D of question 1. So just in case you want to find that question. So now what we need to look at is the fact that if x plus 1 is a factor, that means negative 1 is a root of f of x, right? And if negative 1 is a root of f of x, that means when we plug in negative 1 into the equation, then it's supposed to be equal to 0. It's supposed to result in 0. So if x plus 1 is a factor, then that means x equal negative 1 is a root, and we do that by setting x plus 1 equal to 0. Alright, so let's find f of negative 1. So we plug negative 1 in the equation. Negative 1 cubed, that's negative 1, minus 9 times negative 1 squared, which is 9, and p times negative 1, that's negative p, plus 16. And as I said, f of negative 1 is equal to 0 since x plus 1 is a factor. Therefore, let's just tidy this up. 16 minus 10, that's 6. So 6 minus p should be equal to 0. Therefore, p is equal to 6. So we proved that was easy. Now it says to factorize f of x completely. Now given that x plus 1 is a factor, then in order to find the other factors of f of x, all we need to do is just divide f of x by the factor that was given, which is x plus 1, and that's x cubed minus 9x squared, and remember p is 6, so that's just 6x plus 16. Good. Now let's do the long division. So what we do here is simply divide x into the x cubed first, and if we divide x cubed by x, that's x squared. Then we use the x squared to multiply the divisor here. So x squared times x, that's x cubed, and x squared times 1, that's just x squared, and simply subtract now. So x cubed minus x cubed, that's not, can just put a dot there. And this is minus 9x squared minus x squared, so that's negative 10x squared. And since we didn't add or subtract any x terms or any constants, then we just simply put back what was there before. Good. Now what we do is simply divide x squared into here now, so x not x squared, divide x into here now, so x into 10x squared, that just goes minus 10x. It's simply that, so x divided by x, x cancels that, so we're left with 10x. Good. Now negative 10x times x, that's negative 10x squared. Negative 10x times 1, that's negative 10x. And again we subtract, so negative 10x squared minus 10x squared, that's 0, because that becomes negative 10x squared plus 10x squared, so that's 0. And here we have 6x minus 10x, so that's 6x plus 10x, which is 16x. And of course we just use arrows there. Now we just bring down our 16. Now all we do is divide x into 16x. So x into 16x, that goes positive 16 times. Now we just multiply 16 times x, that's 16x, and 16 times 1, that's positive 16. We subtract, that's 16x minus 16x, 0. 16 minus 16, 0. So therefore as we can see here, there is no remainder, so that confirms that x plus 1 is actually a factor, right? And it also confirms that p is actually equal to 6, right? So just to note, so what we do here now is this: we can now rewrite f of x as a product of its factors. X plus 1 is a factor, and the factor here is x squared minus 10x plus 16, right? And now all we need to do is factorize this quadratic right here. So looking at this problem, it's easy to factorize, because as you can see here, that's just x minus 2, x minus 8. And just in case that was a bit too fast for you, so let's just factorize it here. We have x squared minus 10x plus 16, and as we should know, you multiply the coefficient of the x squared term by the constant, which is, the coefficient here is just 1. 1 times 16, that's 16. So we need to find two factors of 16 that when we add them we get negative 10, and those factors would be negative 8 and negative 2. Right, so we'll just rewrite the negative 10x by splitting it up into minus 8x minus 2x, and we put back our plus 16. Now we factorize by grouping. Alright, factor these two. Now that's just to show you what I grouped, but if I let those brackets remain, it's going to look like they're multiplying and whatever. Now factor out x here, since x is common between x squared and negative 8x, which leaves us with x in the bracket minus 8 and a negative 2 would be common between negative 2x and 16, which leaves x in the bracket and of course minus 8. Therefore it's simply x minus 2 x minus 8. Good. And now this is our answer. We have factorized f of x completely, and it says hence or otherwise. That's it, the third question. It says hence or otherwise solve f of x equal to 0. In order to solve f of x equal to 0, we would simply just rewrite the factorized version of f of x and set it equal to 0. Then if a product of some numbers is equal to 0, then obviously one of those numbers has to be equal to 0. So therefore x plus 1 could be equal to 0, or x minus 2. Whoa, why is my pen? Oh, need to get a new graphics tablet. Equals 0. Therefore x minus 8 could also be equal to 0. Now we just solve for these x values. So from there x would be equal to negative 1 or 2 or 8. Right, so these are the solutions and what we would call the roots of the equation, meaning when you plug these values into f of x, you are supposed to get 0, right? Because if I should sketch a little curve here, it's okay, that would be that. Next one is 2 and the next one is 8. This is just me trying to sketch something here, and the y-intercept would be 16, of course, so it would look something like this. So basically this equation would look something like this, and would get y equals 0 when x equal negative 1. When x equal 2, would still get a 0 value here. Function would result to 0, and when x equal 8, it's also 0. So those are the roots of the equation, and when you solve the equation you find the roots, just in case you didn't know. So that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. Please share, like, comment, subscribe so that I can reach more people, and I'll see you in the next video.